So I got an angle change app for my phone, and I've been practicing angles, 40-degree angle change. And the thing about it is, I have always, like, if you would have put a gun to my head and told me I have to get a perfect cast, perfect single spey cast, you're gonna shoot me, I would probably tell you that the way I would do it with a long line, with a 70-foot line, 15-foot rod, I'd point my toes to the target, lift, rotate, and cast. But that's a good way to do it. You know, you just lock your arms and rotate. We're gonna talk about rotation later. Okay, so I'm gonna point towards that bush right there, and I'm gonna start from further downstream. Okay, so I would just lift towards the target, rotate. Okay, that was probably like 60-degree angle change. That's how I might do it. But for 40-degree, so I've been going through this whole thing with my snake roll cast, okay? And it has truly revolutionized it. I learned it from Travis Johnson when he came up here and gave me and Brian a lesson. And I went from doing my snake roll like around like this to back and forth like this. Okay, like 6 months after my lesson, 7, 8, I'm finally getting it figured out. What I have to do to get my snake roll and get it correct is make sure when I go down, when I come back up, I'm cocking this arm or cocking this wrist back, okay? Like this, not like this. I got to get it straight back or I'll over rotate. That's a huge thing. I have a tendency to do that. So I'll go like this, forward, cock my wrist, and cast. And if you go forward like this, down, and then back like that, without cocking my wrist, my V-loop will be really steep. The bottom leg, the anchor will touch down, and then I'll cast and the anchor will blow out. So I had to figure out how to go from towards the target to back straight away from the target as much as possible. Okay, there's a little over rotation for you right there. And the way I do it is, instead of going like this, I go down and then I cock my wrist here, just the right degree, so that rod tip path goes like that, and it puts the anchor down, and just a little wrist rotation will make a huge difference. If you go like this, you'll get it too flat. Like this, it'll be too steep. You got to get... I'm like, okay, I have got to get this angle change at 40 degrees, period. My thought process was I would lock my body, make it as simple as possible. Point my toes to the target, lock my body, and then just rotate like a machine into firing position, which is a little hard because you got to lock, rotate, and then change to firing position, and then you got to get flat for distance, you know, really flat. So what dawned on me is I kept twirling, locking my body and twirling, and I'd get a few good casts, mostly bad casts. My anchor would land like off to the side and a little behind. And so I was getting a lot of anchor stick, even though my locking my arms and twisting and rotating theory was in effect. I was getting too much stick. And so, because I'd lock and throw it way back here, see, and then get a really crappy forward loop. I'll try to. So, my thought process was, well, why not incorporate a little bit of my 40 degrees is just not much. And the reason you can have a real simple cast single spey at 40 degrees is because it's not that huge of an angle change. And so you can do it, I can do it with my rod a little more upright and with a little more of the scoop shovel action than the sweeping action. So I can lift here and then see, give it that shot. I'll get out in front and do it. So instead of coming around flat and sweeping up, I'm coming around with my rod more upright and probably getting more of a D loop, or no, more of a V loop. I don't care about that. I want that anchor. See, if that bush is the target, the anchors, I want the yarn or the fly to land right at that bush, and I want to cast right over the top of the where the fly landed, and hopefully where it's going to take off again on the forward cast. Because I don't. You're closer to the target with your fly when it's not behind you. And for a long line, that works really good. For a short line, it's not that big of a deal. I'd rather have my bigger D-loop and my fly back a little bit for a short line. But for these long lines, it does not take much gumption to go from 40 degrees with a sweep to there. You don't have to have a super crazy sweep like I've been doing to get a good anchor placement. And also, see, the problem is you got to get in firing position. So, like, you can kind of cock your wrist like this, like in firing position, which is another thing Travis brought up. So instead of rolling your hand like this and then twisting it for the cast, you can roll this one. I forgot. Well, anyway, here's what I was going to say. I need to put my thumbs right on top of the rear cork, right on top of the front cork, over the reel. So when my wrists are lined up and my thumbs are lined up and my reel is lined up, I get perfect alignment, because I'll over rotate if I'm not careful. I'll either over twist my body or over rotate the rod. I'll get too wristy and come around like this. So it's got to be real simple for me just to not get crazy. Problem comes though, on a normal single spey, you know, it doesn't take much just to lift it and cast. But when you're gonna go for a long cast, I like to lift it, and then drift way back. So it's like, you gotta go, get your arms up and back, you know, so you're not, instead of just casting like that, you're going up, however you want to do it. I like to go up and back a little bit, but you got to be in a hurry, because if you sweep with the twirling motion, your anchor's going to stick. So I'm doing a little more scoop shovel and a little less twirling, okay? Because my anchor on a 40-degree cast, from the hang down to landing the anchor, it just does not need to go that far. It just doesn't need to be a big production. So, standing in front of my rock, got a rock here. Whoopsie. Okay, I'm on the other side of the tree, so left. Okay. It's a little under 40 degrees, but the idea is I just don't need to lift and then twirl so hard and far, because after I twirl, then I got to get into firing position. If I just lift and go like that, keep the rod tip going up, then I get a simple single spey, 40-degree angle change, and I have alignment. It's just not that big of a production. It's just picking it up and casting it. Make it as simple as possible. So like the Spey-orama guys and the European spey casters, they're like, of course there's the Japanese guys too, but you watch the guys that are really good at Spey-orama, which is very technical and very difficult, and it's way more about technique as it is power, although power helps. They just don't have a big production. It's just kind of like lift, sweep, cast, and there it is. But you got to make sure you get the 40-degree. So I stand in front of my rock, point my toes toward that bush. Now I'm gonna sweep with my rod a little more upright and a little more scoop shovelly and less sweepy. So okay, there's my 40 degrees. It just, suddenly it's real simple, which for me is amazing because you can really complicate this stuff. So, there it is again. Kind of missed the 40 degree, but I'm kind of just like doing a brand new stroke again. Okay, that time I got a good cast, but my anchor landed behind me a little bit, and I could have got a better cast if I would have put way less energy in the sweep. It's just, it doesn't take much energy because the fly's got to still land in front of you. So if you've been really giving her the onion during the sweep, it's really not necessarily, because it doesn't, we're more concerned with anchor placement than we are a super tight extraterrestrial V-loop. Okay, another, I got my angle changed, but the anchor landed way back there. I'll try it again. Okay, that was better anchor placement. Probably got the 40 degree. Okay, I got a great cast, not the 40 degree though, but it's amazing how little effort I'm putting into it. So like when Travis gave us that lesson, finally figuring out how he does that cast. And I don't have to do it exactly like that, but the utilitarian portion of it is very fantastic. That's why, like, there's very little sweep movement because there doesn't have to be, because 40 degrees is just not that much. But somehow I've made it this frickin' epic journey for my rod tip path to go. And now I basically just kind of simplified it. Okay, so now I can work on the rest of the cast, which is the forward stroke. Man, the forward stroke is so important. It's like the most important thing, other than the lift and the sweep and the drift. Yeah.